How's it going, Bladesters? We're going to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This is David. We have a knife from Ostop Hel. This is a WE knife. So thank you to WE for providing a knife to the Pass Around group. This is called the Mote, which is basically definition-wise small particle, speck. So that's kind of fitting for this knife. So this is what it's going to look like in your pocket if you do pick it up. But we're going to go through some specifications. After that, we'll go into my personal opinions on it. But at least that way you'll be able to make your own decision on it before you hear what I think about it. But that's going to be what it looks like here. And it is quite a spec. So this is going to be the knife, fairly small. So not a big knife. Goes along with the name really well. So that's what this one is here. So this one, weight-wise, is going to be about 2.1 ounces. So that's about, for this channel, 10 quarters and a penny. So that's what you have here. So that's what this knife weighs. Ooh, it's not even in frame. 10 quarters and a penny. So that's what it is there. Or if you have a bug out, which is going to be right here, just take a quarter, put it on top, and that's going to be the difference on the weight. Granted, much smaller. But that is going to be the weight difference. You can actually get that feel in hand for this knife here. And this one is a titanium knife, so that's where it is a pretty nice setup. So it is going to be a titanium. I think even the hardware is titanium on it. So we'll just do a quick check on it. Yep, seems to be titanium hardware. Yeah. So I think maybe the pivot is, yeah, so that pivot's still steel, but all the other hardware seems like titanium scales. So it's a pretty nice setup overall. It's a handsome knife. By pictures, it looks a lot bigger than what it is, because as it is a very small knife. It carries really well, probably a 5th pocket knife if you're going to carry it in that fashion, or for females, any pocket, because your pockets are so small. But this is going to be what the knife looks like. So blade shape is nice, nice design. Personally, I would want this to be a little bit bigger, but that's what it looks like here. Pocket clip clearance. So price-wise, this is going to be about $169, MSRP about $199 for it. So lineman pull gauge for this is about 2 pounds, 7.6 ounces, which is within what I feel is good, because I feel about 2 to 3 pounds is a good weight. But there is kind of a thing for it. So sorry, throwing in some of my opinions here, but for this little flipper tab, this is not the most ideal. So it kind of is sharp. I found myself it was a bit uncomfortable on many occasions. So you just have to kind of lay your finger on top of it and then follow through that way. But if you're actually just planning to get the actual flipper tab itself, it's kind of an odd setup for it to actually do that. But it does work. You get used to it. But I did find myself slipping off of that and actually did not feel too great. So that is how that felt there, and for that flipper tab. So cutting edge on this one, so the cutting edge is actually going to be bigger than the cutting or the total blade length. Total blade length from this little nub here all the way to the tip is going to be 2.67 inches for a drop point, and then the cutting edge is basically taking it from the full length, so here all the way to the tip, and kind of rolling that on a paper and actually getting that measurement. So it's about 2.79 inches for a cutting length for it. And then this one does have a few different opening methods. So you do have, of course, the light switch style for it. You're going to have kind of a pinch and roll, so you can actually pinch it and roll it out slowly. You're going to have a traditional style too, so basically a 2-hand open is going to be another way to do that for the knife. This one is going to be a flat grind all the way across. And then what I found on the other video, so in doing some measurements, I think that about a 5-degree primary grind is kind of ideal for a slicing tool. And then while a kitchen knife, at least the one that I had, was like 2 degrees, which cut through cardboard like crazy. So if you have a knife that thin for that primary bevel, then that's going to go through cardboard really well. Not going to be a good regular probably EDC tool. But this one comes out to be about 8 degrees. So it does have a little bit of struggle going through cardboard, especially when you get into thicker materials, just because of that degree. So it is inclusive, so it's 4 degrees per side. So that goes basically from this side basically up. It's going to be 8 degrees on this one. So let me know as far as your thoughts on that, because that's something that's not discussed very much. We can still get into behind the edge thickness for this one, but I think that the primary is going to be where you're going to be feeling that difference the most. And then this one actually does have, also we'll check on this one. So we do have this tool here, so we'll check on the measurement for the primary or the secondary grind. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Oh, there it is. So this one looks to be about almost 19, 20 degrees. So that's going to be about almost a 20 degree per side. So about a 40 degrees inclusive as far as what this is sharpened to for this knife. So that's a very thin grind across the blade there. This is S35, so S35 is a really good steel as well. This one's going to have a 3.5 inch blade handle. So the whole handle is 3.5 inches. So going out for that behind edge thickness, so that's going to be about 5 sheets of paper. So take that out of your printer. That's going to be measured about here on the belly. That's going to be about 18 thousandths. And then for degree of ramp, so that's what I refer to it as. So when I actually disengage the lock to when that actual detent ball is on the blade itself, this is going to be about 30 degrees. So that's where I find basically 20 degrees is impressive, 30 degrees is okay, 40 degrees and above is excessive. But this one does basically get all the way onto the blade before it hits your thumb, so that it still works. But I would still prefer a little bit earlier just for comfort and use, and maybe so it doesn't bounce back on it. So that's going to be where that is. Blade stock thickness is going to be 2.61 millimeters, and it is only a one-hand carry, so that's going to be the right hand tip up. This is not reversible, so you're not going to be flipping that over to the other side for this one. So for this, I would probably roll this into a barrel. The reason for that is there's a few different things that we already spoke to a little bit. The flipper tab, not great on it. I'd rather almost have thumb studs for this one here, just for a deployment method. And then also even the pivot side. So this is kind of a nice looking pivot in looking at it, but this is not really finished too well. So it's just really sharp. So to just finish it off as far as the whole look of the knife, I think that this would work better if this was a different style of pivot. And then maybe if the flipper tab, even though people don't like it, flipper tab bigger, or thumb studs for this model. And I think this would kind of bring it all together, and also maybe bring this out a little bit more. I know it's that particle or speck, but if it was just a little bit bigger, kind of like a mini griptilian, then I think that would work out better for the knife. That's why I would say it's kind of a borrow for this one. Everything else is finished really well. And then I do really like this backspacer, so I don't know if that comes off really well on camera, but it's just a polished anodized backspacer that looks really sharp. It's recessed, so it's going to not affect that finish when you're actually using it, but that's a really nice design. So I think it's done very, very well for the knife. It has the stop pins that's going to be actually on the blade, so you can actually see it pass through as you're opening and closing it. But it's just really done very well. But just a few little things and changes would make it really good for me. But this might be a perfect knife for what you're looking for. But let's look at some size comparisons to see what this looks like in comparison to some other knives out there. So this is like the wee Banter. So that's going to be how that looks. So maybe a little bit bigger like that. I do have the bug out right there. You can have the Solaris. Rat number 2. And then pair of 3. And then also going to look at the SOG Stout. So that's going to be the ones here. But check it out. Let me know if you have any comments on this knife. And then it's going to be move on to the next, folks. So I'll try and answer the best I can. Check it out. And also, if you're still here, consider subscribing to the channel as well. And thank you very much. And that's about all I have to say about that one today.